I'm just in the process of editing this week's video, and it occurred to me that I should probably put a wee explanation at the start and ask yous not to do what I done unless yous have got extensive training and experience. As you'll see later on in this video, I got out of a boat into the sea in adverse weather conditions in the dark in 8-degree water. Now, there was several factors that made me make the decision to do this. The first one was that I've got over 14 years experience and training in getting in and out of small inflatable boats and ribs and rigid raiders and things like that. So if it started going wrong for me, I was confident that I could get myself back into the boat even although my clothes were wet. I've also had extensive training in overcoming cold water shock and being able to keep thinking while in frigid water, which is a huge one because, make no mistake about it, cold water shock ends lives. So as I said, if you don't have the training and the experience, please don't get into the water. I've also been at that area at least once or twice a week, every week for the last 2 years. I know the seabed well, I know that it dries out, and I know the terrain. I've also swum extensively in that area, and I know the current states. But above all that, I also knew that 600 metres away, my car was there, and I had instant access to warmth so that I could get myself warm and get home safely. Those are the reasons that I decided to get into the water that night. I say night, it was only 6 p.m, but it was pitch black. It was just a freak wind, and I made a decision. But unless you have extensive training and experience, please don't do that, because it could go very badly, very fast. Hi, welcome to this week's episode. We've got quite a bit to do this week. We will be preparing for the new mooring block. We'll be preparing for the new mooring block, getting everything onto the boat that I can. I'll be looking at these cork tiles because it be cold in here. Which reminds me, thank you to everybody that commented on last week's video regarding the diesel heaters. You'll be glad to know that I took your advice and one should be on its way within the next couple of days. So hopefully I'll get that fitted, if not this week, but next week. That will allow me to get a lot more done in here. But we'll be looking at the cork tiles this week. We will be sealing some more of the weather out. We'll be taking a look at the outboard and the fuel cans, and we'll be installing a cockpit light as well as doing some painting and probably other stuff. Now, Sally abandoned me today in favour of a nice warm house and winter woolies, but in fairness, Jack Frost hasn't been around too much, so it's not too bad. It's well, that's a wee bit optimistic. The thermometer's saying 7.7 degrees. My breath would disagree with that. But I've got plenty of layers on, so I'll be good to go. As long as I don't do any epoxy and things, I should be fine. We can leave the epoxy until I can get this place heated properly. But let's crack on and... Sorry, I'm looking at my own reflection in the camera rather than looking at yous. Anyway, let's crack on and see what we can get done this week. Now, While we were making last week's video, I put 2 of those cork tiles up, just using it's the adhesive that already comes on it, just to test how well it stuck. Now, I think that one in the corner is still there because it's been supported by that angle. Unfortunately, the other one decided to jump ship. So, I think we're going to go with my original thought and put extra adhesive on it. I'm going to test Sikaflex, Marine Sikaflex, and I've got Tiger Grip there as well. So I'm going to put one with each and just see how well they grab. Because the sooner we start getting these things done, the better. The warmer it will be and the less condensation we'll get. I think I've got probably 90 square feet of cork tiles just now. If I need to buy some more, then I'll do that. And for the eagle-eyed viewers of use, don't worry about that. What we done was we epoxied that the last time, and I didn't want to sit the heater down on top of it. So I put that thingamabobber. There we go. Peel ply. I put peel ply down so that the heater wouldn't stick to the floor. So that will be able to come up. Now, I got some deliveries this week. I've got these shackles here. I got 2 of them came with this. Heavy duty shackles. They're rated to about 12.5 tonne each. So, and then this riser chain as well. This chain will come up on the riser, and I'll have it attached to 80 kilos worth of 30mm chain, which is even bigger than the shackles. So I'll have the 600 kilo block onto the 80 kilos of 30mm chain, and then I'll have this riser chain coming up to the float. Now, this, I think it was it rated to 4 tonne? So that one chain is rated to the entire weight of the boat, more than the boat, and I'll have 3 of them, 3 riser chains on it. Obviously, as you know, the riser chain never takes the weight of the boat. It'll only take the weight of the wind pushing the boat, kind of thing. But there was a really, really good comment, and I'm really thankful for it, in last week's video. And the person said, if you have the chains at 110 degrees, the blocks don't get the strain on them. So that's really, really handy, and it's easy to work out, because at high tide, even at the normal high tide is about 8 metres, and a spring tide is just over 9 metres depth here. So I can work out my angles from that. So it's really handy. I think I'm going to be a lot happier with this. It was quite expensive, as you can imagine, but not as expensive as a new boat. So I'm happy at that. When the 30mm chain arrives, it'll be the same galvanised stuff as this, and I'm looking for a big eye bolt that's going to be strong enough to put into the block. And after that, we'll start getting the block built and sunk with a chain on it, and that'll be as good to go. So yeah, happy days. It's nice when you get deliveries, but not so nice when you have to pay for them. But this one's, I think, definitely necessary. So yeah, happy days. Now, one of the other things that I want to do tonight is to stick a cockpit light in. We quite often get on and off the boat in the dark, and being able to switch a light on in the cockpit as soon as I get on, so that Sally and Lily can get on easier, I think that'd be a real benefit. Now, these are just, I don't know if you can see, I'm trying to do this by torchlight here, but these are just waterproof switches. So I brought a few of those over, and then this thing, if I can get it out with one hand. How about I just do it like that? Now there's a backing plate in there as well, but this wee thing is an exterior 12 volt light. It's meant for motorhomes and things like that, and apparently it is marine proof, so I thought I would give it a wee go. Now I've managed to get a red filter for this, and you can just stick them inside there, so when we're actually underway at night, you know, we can put the red filter on it. But I think this will be really helpful just for to let Sally and Lily get on the boat and things. And I'm going to put this somewhere inconspicuous out of the way, so that when I get on the boat I can just switch that on and hey presto, we have light. As I said, I'm doing this by torchlight just now, because all my other lights have run out of batteries. So this is another job we're going to do today, and we'll see how that goes. To get this light done, it's one of those things that you start one job, and to do that you've got to do another and another and another. So what I'm doing just now is this old kind of, it's almost like a switchboard type thing, or a junction box even. I'm taking that off, and then I don't know how well you can see, but I'm taking this off, and then I'm going to put the new stuff in here. I've got a couple of small bus bars just for to distribute the instruments and things, and then I'll have a couple of big bus bars going into an isolator switch. Anyway, I can't talk and hold the camera and unscrew with one hand at the same time, so I'll come back in once I've got that done. Now that's that bird's nest taken down, and it does look like a bird's nest, but actually whoever put it in knows what they were doing. I don't know, hold on a second, I'll get rid of that and I'll bring some light to the subject. If you can see that, somebody's actually got all the circuits written down. So as I said, whoever put that in knew what they were doing. It was an old circuit and old wiring, but they definitely knew what they were doing. So I'm going to stick the bus bars in there and get some bits and pieces done, and we'll come back in. Now, as we just got the bus bars up, as I said, they're the small ones. These are just literally for circuits like the radio and the plotter and things like this. So we will have a big bus bar that's rated much higher, because I'm looking at the lithium batteries. The engine battery that I've got just now I'm going to keep, and the alternator and the engine will feed into that, which will then go through a controller and feed into our lithium batteries. Jeez, I couldn't remember what I was saying there. It'll feed into the lithium batteries, and then the solar panels will go through charge controllers into the lithium batteries as well. So I think we're probably going to have about 800 amp hours of house batteries and the 140 amp hour engine battery. So we should be okay. But as I said, for those kind of amps, I'll need bigger bus bars. So I'll bring the lithium batteries into here onto bus bars and onto isolator switches, and then I'll distribute it. I'll run these from the big bus bars. Anyway, I'm going to crack on with this because I'm running out of torch power here. I just thought I'd bring these in and let you see what I was talking about. Now, I'm going to stick the light in about here, just above that. In fact, maybe over here actually. Pardon me. So what I'm going to do, instead of what I've done before, trying to get inside and do it, I'm just going to take one of these vents off and I'm going to run this cable inside. So hopefully it should be a bit faster this time. Well, everything's just wrecking the place today. I think I really am having one of those bloopers days. Lovely. Now, I'm going to have to take that back in and straighten it. Right, I've got that off now. So, I mean, if I put it a bit there, like that even, so that it downlights rather than shining up the way. Right, I want to keep it out the way of everything, so if I make the hole about there, there we go. Try putting some light in the subject. Right. Now then. I really am having one of those days that if it can go wrong, it is going wrong. It turns out that inside here, in this bulkhead, there's a big old section there blocking off. It's there to strengthen it, but it is stopping me getting it through, so I'll have to take it for this side. And of course, to do that, I'm going to have to take this chair off. But this is coming off anyway, so I don't really mind too much. This chair was only ever going to be temporary anyway. Now, was that us? I was about to say, usually I put more screws in things than that. That moved better. I'll just get these screws out of here. And I'll kick the light up and down the deck. Right. Let's try that again, shall we? Or again. Do you ever have days like that where no matter what you try, it goes wrong? Most people have the common sense just to stay in the house and give in, but I just keep on persevering. Sheer will and determination, I think. Now then. That's better. I'm just feeling around just to make sure that I can get access and things, as well as feeding this wire through here. Now, there we go. Now I can push that through there and then roll it right along to the end. Hey, this footage will probably not end up going in because there's not enough light. There, let's try that. There we go. As my dad used to call it, brute force and ignorance. Okay. Right, I'll be able to fish that out of there now, in the back of the berth. I'm going to get this wired up and then screwed into here, and then I'll go downstairs and get that wired in as well, and I'll get the switch wired in. Now it's got one of the foam gaskets with it, but I never really trust them outside, so I'm going to stick some Sikaflex on it if I can get it to go. Right, let's try that again. I think it's definitely one of them days. Now I just scratched an outline with a screw there, just so I had a rough idea. There we go. Right. These are self-tapping screws, so they should go in okay. But of course, Sod's Law kicks in, and I'm going to have to go and get a screwdriver now to put them in. You know, it's almost time to give up, I think. I think I need to actually give up long enough to go and get a bite to eat. That's probably what's wrong with me. Usually when things like that start going wrong like this, just silly things, it's time to go and get some food. Now, I'll do this the old-fashioned way for the last bit. That's better. It's starting to squeeze out now. I thought I was never going to get that. Now I'm going to have to go and clean it up, but at least it's working. There we go. Much better. Right, I'm going to clean this up and then I'm going to come back in. Now, I actually stopped and got a bite to eat because, as I said, everything that could go wrong was going wrong. So, I got a bite to eat and then I cracked on and done it, or finished that light, and as you can see, it's working away fine. It's quite bright, and there you go, you can get the red light as well. So it's quite handy. That's not going to be too bad for my night vision when I'm out sailing at night and things. Not that I'm planning on doing that much in this wee boat. Maybe in a bigger boat once we get that. But I think I'm going to carefully put everything back together, and that'll be me for tonight, and I'll come back fresh tomorrow, I think. Well, that didn't go according to plan. I got the tender over to the boat, I got it tied up, I got my stuff onto the boat, and a huge gust of wind picked up out of nowhere, picked the tender up, turned it upside down, threw the spanners out of the boat, submerged the outboard and threw the oars into the water. We don't usually have the oars in the wee screws because they flap about like crazy, because it's a cheap boat and they never fitted into the slots properly that they had to. So I turned the boat back, righted it straight away, tried to start the outboard, and in fairness to it, it started a few times and then just died. But by this time I had undone the rope and started heading towards the oars because they were still floating. But the outboard just kept on dying. So I imagine it's got water in the petrol. So guess who had to get into the water, holding onto the dinghy and start kicking like mad until I got over to the oars. I managed to get one of the oars, the other one sunk. I might be able to get it at low tide. But now I think I'm going to have to try. I'll put new fuel in it and I'll see if I can get it started to get back over to the boat to get my tools and equipment so that I can go back home. Failing that, I'm going to have to go back home somehow. I've not got anything to undo the screws on the outboard now, because that got chucked into the water, and the wee handles broke because why not, it's cheap Chinese. Anyway, that was probably a wee bit harsh, but that wind is absolutely crazy. It seems no matter how hard you try, you just can't get things done because something wants to throw a spanner in the works or a big huge gusty wind. I'm going to mix up some two-stroke here. Luckily I always keep two-stroke and fresh petrol in the car, so I'll mix up some new two-stroke and I'm going to try to get back over to the boat. If I can, that would be great, because then I'll be able to get tools to get the outboard off the boat. And then I'm probably going to have to go home and strip this outboard down and clean it to get the salt out of it as fast as possible. So that'll be that plan for the video up in the air. Anywho, I'm going to try and get this sorted because the less time that's got salt water in it the better, and we'll see how it goes. Yes, a little bit wetter than I would have liked, but I managed to get the outboard started. So I've got my tools and things, but nonetheless I think I'm going to go home and I'm going to get this thing stripped down because it still doesn't sound very happy at all. It's missing quite a lot and it's backfired a few times, so aye, I'll get it home and I'll get it stripped down. Well, I managed to get the outboard off it and get it back up the stairs. A little bit soggy just now, but all good. You know, it's almost as if the universe tries to tell me things sometimes. I mean, yesterday, the amount of bloopers that I made was just unreal. I might actually put some in the video just to let you see how bad I was yesterday. I was stripping wire for to do the electrical points, and I managed to cut myself in the thumb 3 times within 2mm of each other. You would think I would have learned there, but apparently this head is just solid bone. But aye, I think I'm going to get home, I'm going to strip this down and have a look at it. But with the problems I've already been having with it, I mean it just cuts out whenever it wants. I think it is just pure solid Chinesium, and it was destined to go to the scrap pile for the day it was made. I might have a look at that big, was it Mercury outboard, the 15 horsepower that I've got, because this thing's rated up to 15 horse. I might try and resurrect that. I don't have a tiller for it, but I might try and Frankenstein it until I get something. But I think certainly I was trying to save up for a bigger boat just now, but I think it's more important for me to save up for a new tender and a new outboard, and then I can save up for a bigger boat. But aye, seriously, the last 2 days has just been disaster after disaster. Good job I'm a strong swimmer and the cold water doesn't get to me. The seals were sitting on the island looking at me as if I was stupid. In fairness, they weren't far wrong. But aye, we'll get this thing home, and I'll see what I can Frankenstein together just to keep us going until we can afford something new. This door here is one that we took off the heads when we dismantled that, and I said I was going to reuse it because I quite like it. It's a nice shape and it fits the top of the ceiling in the boat, and it's also very lightweight. However, it has sustained some dings and scrapes here and there over the years, so aye, I'm going to take some time to repair it. Excuse the bags of cement in the kitchen floor. They're in here just to keep them dry so they don't end up blowing before I get them into the new mooring block. We never had space for all of them, so aye. As you can see here, this used to be where the lock was, and I've filled that and I've got that nice and smooth now. The same on the other side, but it's still needing a bit of work. It's delaminated on the bottom here, so I'm going to get that glued and screwed. I'm going to get some panel pins and some glue into it, and then we will look at sanding it down, fill in any more imperfections, and then get it painted and ready to go. And that'll be another thing ready for the heads. Now, this is the bottom bit of the door here, and as you can see, it's never been nailed, it's just been glued, and the glue's come away. So I'm going to re-glue that, I'm going to stick some panel pins through it, and then we're going to give it a sand down. And I'll glue it up the side as well here. And just make sure it's adhering to the frame well, so we can use it again and it'll last us years. As I said, it's really lightweight, which is good for the boat. And I quite like the wee door, so we were always going to reuse it. Anyway, let me get started and we'll see where we go from here. As I said, I'm just going to glue the inside of this on the frame, and then I'm going to stick panel pins up it, and that should be good to go. Right along here. And then I'll just use these panel pins. I'm using the small hammer like this with the panel pins so that I don't mark the wood in the door. If I used a big standard claw hammer, it's a much bigger head on it, and it would put marks round about the panel pins. So it was an old furniture maker that taught me that. If you're using small pins on good wood, just use a small hammer. The man had spent 50 years restoring and repairing Chesterfield chairs and things like that, so he knew what he was talking about, certainly more than me. Now, Sally's just given it a light sand and then focusing on areas that are needing a bit more work. Just like this up here. Here there's been a bit of damage there on the corner. So put a bit more work into that just to get it nice and smooth. And as for the rest of it, we're just going to key it up, get any irregularities out of it, and then get it ready for paint. Now, excuse this big box, we're actually keeping that so we can use it for templates for the other hull. I did actually think of taking the router up there, but then I would have to glue and pin the whole thing.
Could actually put a mirror on one side, couldn't we?
Aye. Well, that was the plan. We'll have to put it on with something like Sikaflex or in a frame so that it can flex and move with the boat. But aye, definitely.
Actually, Seabird, they just put a plastic...
Sailing Seabird?
Yeah.
Aye.
A plastic mirror up that reflects just as good as a glass one.
Aye. Well, we'll definitely have a look. We'll have it quite high though.
Yeah.
I don't fancy the idea of being able to watch myself when I'm... Aye.
No. No, that would not be
No.
the most pleasant experience.
That's just where one of the hinges were, I think.
There's a dab of glue, I think that one is.
Oh, there was. I thought I'd actually caught them all. There was splashes of epoxy on it at points.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's okay. We'll get that. I'll take that one off with a scraper.
No, it's just those little bits there.
Aye.
We just need to flip it and do the other side.
Perfect. We'll just get this flipped over. Aye. It's relatively smooth, there are a few scratches on it, so we'll catch them. And any wee raggedy bits, we'll just get that sanded down and then we'll get it ready for primer. There might be a few wee scratches that we have to fill in, but other than that, it's a pretty good door. And as Sally said, we can even put a mirror on the back, just over shoulder height though.
Aye. As long as I don't have to stand on my tiptoes to see into it.
It's okay, we'll get you a wee step. Anywho. Now, we could use power tools for this, but in fairness it doesn't really need it. All we're doing is sanding some scrapes and things like that, and then keying the rest of the surface for the paint to take to, so it gets a mechanical bond. Now Lily is just going to clean all the dust off of this. It's just a cloth with some acetone on it, just to get rid of any of the dust and grime. And then it should be ready for priming. We'll get a coat of primer on that, and then I need to make a dive ladder so that I can get down and look at the block and ground tackle on these moorings. So we'll crack on with that next. Sally's just putting on an undercoat. It'll get 2 or 3 coats to make sure it's well sealed. And as you can see here, we've got one of those widely used universal paint tubs that can allegedly also be used for certain types of food.
Never throw them away.
We got ours for a Chandler's, honest.
Don't throw them away until they're leaping out of the cupboard at your head.
Aye. They're actually really useful wee tubs. We use them for everything. Now, a lot of the purists will be wondering why we're going from stained wood to white. And it's because on the way up the coast, I found that if I was stuck on the boat for 8 or 9 days due to weather, this colour just made it really dark. Because it was a small boat, and because the windows were kind of covered with the head at the time, it made it quite dark and almost claustrophobic. So we're hoping that light colours will kind of open things up slightly and make it feel a bit bigger and more airy.
I think it already does.
I think so.
Where we've painted white and opened things up, it's made a big difference inside.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I haven't spent weeks waiting for weather like you did. But,
You will.
I have noticed. I will.
But the thing is, it'll be different then, because I won't be in a rush to get back up for yous, because yous will be there as well. So
That's it.
I don't really care if I have to wait, because yous will already be there.
Don't knock it on the floor, Sally.
No. Actually, there was a few people I mentioned that I used to do carving and wood turning and things like that, and there was a few people that asked, you know, to see what I'd made and whether I still sold it and things. If I can find some pictures, I'll stick them up in this video of things that I made. And no, I don't make them anymore because I don't get time, to be honest. And this house is too small for to have a workshop the size I used to have. I used to make river tables and all sorts of rustic furniture and live edge candle holders and things like that.
Really beautiful stuff.
Aye, it wasn't too bad, but like always, I always looked at the stuff I could have done better on it. And when people were looking at it amazed and things, I always wondered why. Because, like everybody, the only things I saw was the things that I could do better. But anyway, as I said, if I can find some pictures, I'll stick them up. I'm sure I've got some somewhere. I know I've got a Pinterest page somewhere from back in the day. So I might yank some pictures from there.
I think we've got one or two of your pieces hanging around somewhere.
Aye, they'll be somewhere.
We want to actually keep them and have them on the boat with us.
I was actually really fortunate. I was featured in a few magazines here and there, and my stuff actually sold all over the world. It's in Australia, New Zealand, Dubai, Texas, so Austria, and there's some in Holland as well. So I must have been okay at it because people seem to like it. But aye, I'll stick some pictures up if I can find them. As I said earlier in the video, we're going to make a rope ladder. I don't currently have one for the boat. And I could have bought one of the dive ladders. The ones with the hook on them, with the plastic steps, I've seen the sun make too many of them go brittle and them snap. And then the ones that are fixed to the boat, there's no actual real place for it to affix them to our boat. And also I want something that can roll up and stow away quite easily. So I've got this length of mahogany here. It used to be a handrail in its last life, but as you can see by the thickness, it's just a nice thickness for it to be good and strong for a ladder. So I'm going to use this, and then we've got this rope here. I think this rope should fit it. So I'm just going to make a rope ladder out of it that we can just put over the cleats. Just stick it over a cleat and then I can get in and out of the boat. And that'll allow me to dive on the mooring this coming week, obviously with a wetsuit. Because as I found out yesterday, swimming 500-600 metres in 8-degree water, not fun. That's 8 degrees C. So it was quite chilly. But anyway, I digress again. We will get on to doing this. Now, if you just hold that on the end there, we'll see what length we've got to work with. So that's 205 centimetres divided by 4. That would be 51 with 1.5 centimetres left over. So if I take that, we'll have a look at 51 centimetres, which is about 20 inches. So just less than shoulder width apart, but it's still enough that we could get out easily, I think. Right. Now then, $51 we said. There we go. Now this is not ideal for cutting this, but all my hand saws are on the boat, of course. I mean, I bought a brand new one. It's never been out the sheath, but it's on the boat. A hand saw would let me get it more precise, but we'll have to make do with this. That's a decent size. It's a decent width for you pulling yourself up.
It's not so narrow that when you get your feet on, you're going to not have room to put both feet on one. Yeah.
Aye. And it's certainly strong enough at that length. I mean, if I tried to stand on the full length, it might crack. But over that length, it's certainly going to be strong enough. And I'm just going to cheat here. Now, I'm just going to put another bit on this router because I want to round off the edges on there. So I'll cheat a wee bit and use the router rather than using sandpaper, and that'll give me a head start. So Sally and Lily are just on the edges there, just sanding the rounds off, just make sure it's nice and round and that I don't get any splinters and things. And then we will get the holes bored. I think that's going to be difficult because I don't actually have a pillar drill anymore. So I think I'm going to have to put it in the vise carefully and try and drill it as straight down as I can, kind of thing. In the holes, or marking where the holes are going to go, and I've marked them 5 centimetres in, which is about 2 inches in old money. So if that's the centre of the hole and it's 16mm rope, there'll be 8mm each side of that, which should give enough for it to be strong and give me enough space on the inside of the ladders. Well, that's the theory anyway. I'm just marking the centre this way as well. Just so I'm right in the middle. And then when I drill it, it'll be completely in the wrong place.
So slow.
Aye. The good thing about these wood bits is they've got a wee point on them, so you don't need a pilot hole. trick is to use a sharper drill bit. As I said, this would be much easier with a pillar drill, but you work with what you've got. Now I've just got a bit of sandpaper that I've rolled up here, and I'm just sticking this insulating tape on it to stop it from unrolling, and that way I can get it inside. And I can sand that. Just feed it through. I don't want any ragged edges on these because it will just wear through the rope. That just makes it nice and smooth. And I can feel how smooth it is inside. There's nothing ragged, there's nothing going to catch the rope or cut it. It will need a bit of sand. That's that one ready for rope. Wow, look at that. I even managed to get the holes to align. Can you see me?
I can now. Wait till you see the video.
Why, what you done?
I just didn't move the camera up high enough to catch the pole at the first instant.
Ah. I'm sure the editing guy will cut that out for you.
Uh-huh, that's good. Good to know.
Aye, the editing guy is good like that.
Numerous times.
Now, I've just done this with the router. Focus. Aye, that's try to get it to focus there for you. You see how that's chamfered now? It's a nice round edge. I think that'll be better for the rope going through, and it'll stop it kind of grating on it and cutting it eventually. It'll stop it fraying it. That's the word I was looking for. So I have done that with all the holes, and we'll sand the rest of it, sand any other sharp edges out. And we'll give them a sand down as well, and we'll get ready for to put them in the rope. Now, we went with another rope. It's just as good, but it's slightly thinner. That other rope, it was one of the heavy ones that sinks, and it was just too rigid for to actually tie knots in properly. So this one's a lot better. We'll be able to tie knots in that. And all I've done so far is got that through there. As you can see, there's plenty of space either side, and it moves easily, and it's not going to get rubbed. So I will endeavour to do the same with this. I'm going to tie a knot at this end and there to stop this whole thing moving through, to keep it so that it's level. and then we'll move up by about a foot, 30 centimetres, a foot, and we'll do the same again. We'll just tie a knot in each side, and then we'll put the other rung on it. We'll tie it at the other side of that rung, and we'll keep on going until we get to the top, and then I'll just tie it at the end so that it can go over the top of a cleat. Very, very basic, but it'll be able to roll up and get put away in a small space. So I'm going to crack on with that, and we'll come back in once I'm a bit closer to finishing. Now this is not going to be, it's never going to be dead accurate. I was going to say if you've ever tied a knot, but you probably go sailing if you watch this channel, so I imagine you've tied a knot or two in your life. But what I'm doing is just trying to go about 12 inches in between knots, and then just crank it down as tight as I can. Now, it's, as I said, it's not perfect, but it's not too bad, and it'll certainly do what it's supposed to do. The first one I done 12 inches or 30 centimetres, and then I thought that actually if I done the full 4, that would be more than 4 feet. So I started doing it 8 inches in between, and then lower again. And I think by the time that goes over the cleat, that'll be sitting just over the other side of the rub rail. So that'll fit perfectly. We'll just get Sally to give it some oil just now, and that'll be it ready to go. As I said, if you see here, that can now get rolled up into a wee bag and just put away and brought out anytime we need it. So aye, at least that's one good job I've got done this week after all the mayhem. There we go, darling. If you want to do some oil, I'll go and get the oil for you.
Yep.
And then we'll come back in. Now Sally's just putting some oil on it. As I said, it's boiled linseed oil. If you're ever using this, there is the possibility that the cloth you're using to apply it can spontaneously combust if you just leave it somewhere. I've never seen it myself, I've never heard of it happening, but there is a warning out there for it. That and tongue oil as well, I think. But the thing is, boiled linseed oil, it soaks in and it makes a nice protective barrier, and you can keep on reapplying it.
Look how quick that's just.
It just soaks right in.
Smells horrible.
It looks beautiful though. I used to use it a lot for my wood turning and things because I loved the look of it. The only thing was on white wood it would make it yellow.
Into those grooves as well.
Aye, and the good thing is it won't harden the ropes. There we go, that's it, all oiled up. As I said, we'll put it somewhere warm just to let that oil stay nice and liquid and actually properly soak in. We've put extra in here and things. So I mean, this has now got a wee rope ladder. It wasn't a how-to, this is just how I made it. It was just a quick rope ladder, and some old handrail has now been repurposed and got a second life. And some old rope that, I think that was one of the sheets at one point. Aye, so we've repurposed a couple of things and made a handy wee rope ladder.
It's good and strong.
Aye, happy days.
Yeah.
Now, on that note, I think we'll end this video here today. I think it's been a...
The linseed always got gone to my head.
And it doesn't even do that kind of thing.
Alright, I'll behave.
Uh-huh. So when do I see that?
Seldom.
Anywho, as I said, we're going to end the video here. Thank you very much for watching. If you wouldn't mind, like, share and subscribe. And a massive, massive thank you to our Patreons. I mean, words can't express how much we appreciate your support. I hope you enjoyed the video. And I'll stop wobbling this camera at some point. Excuse me a second. I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care. We'll see you next week.
Yes. Have a lovely week. Bye.